All right, what's up, everybody? All right. I told you I'd have an update on some injuries, and I'll kind of get started on that, and then we'll get into the game. So first, let's start with Jaden. He'll continue in his return to play process, and you'll see him out there today in a limited fashion. And we'll continue to rely on the medical team, to fully clear him. But what I can say is, man, he is doing everything you possibly can to get there. The guy's the ultimate competitor for us. You know that. I know that. But he is absolutely digging it. As far as the other injuries, we're going to work through that. And I'll take it through Friday and we'll give you the updates as it goes. Then lastly, just, the matchup for this weekend. And last time went into extra time, to go through that. And we expect that kind of same fight and battle again. We'll need to have that complementary football that we leaned into last week again. And ready to get rocking with you guys.
So with Terry, what can you say? Is he getting more information on his quad, and what's the level of concern for him for Sunday?
Yeah, it's pretty normal that when you have something that a second opinion takes place, that's not uncommon at all. Honestly, it's just the opposite. It's really common. Almost everybody does that in some spaces. So as we get into, I'll have a better answer, as I get closer to, or as I get into Friday, and then we'll have a sense for, okay, where does it look like for Sunday?
And then with Jaden, what is it, that you've been able to watch him do so far? Is he able, you talked about the cutting and the pivoting. Have you been able to watch him do any of those kind of activities? I
have, and like I said, he's worked really hard on that space. And so we'll lean in on the medical side too, John, just to make sure they'll, be the ones to fully clear. But he's working really hard to hit all the stuff that he needs to hit.
Do you expect Terry to be at practice today?
I don't expect Terry to be at practice today. He will be out for today. I'll have updates for him by Friday of where we're at for the game.
Okay. Special teams question.
Yes.
I know you addressed it on Monday, but you mentioned how you that's part of your play style. You guys take a lot of pride in it. When did you start to feel like that could be sort of a weapon for you guys or give you guys an edge?
I'm going to go back because I think it's important on it, Nikki. When the new kickoff rule started, we were right at the front of that to say, can this be an advantage? Can we find a space that we could create that from field position to identity? So I thought it would begin there on the kickoff and kickoff return side. Then as we got to learn it better, and we were all kind of at the first part, remember there was a lot from OTAs through training camp, so I thought it began then. And then adding, obviously Tress, the way he can punt, putting people down, and the different style of players, like obviously Revo and, is at the front of it, but then it's Ballore and then Percy Butler and others that just started to emerge in this way. And we thought, man, this can be a weapon for us. And we can really push and feature the guys and use them in those ways. But I think it was the kickoff and the decisions to say, we're going to go for it and really try to be at the front of this if we can. And I think that was the start of it.
Hey, Coach, I know you guys are very diligent in that return to play process, but is the fact that Sunday's game is, still September football, an early season game, does that time period shift whether or not you guys are going to maybe encourage guys to play Sunday versus if it were a postseason, late season game? Does that timeline factor in at all?
No. Yeah, I think they're all in the same space, and like the medical team putting the whole thing together for it. They have guidelines they want to follow. So no, I think everything's kind of the way we would go after it is consistent.
Check. The way the team responded with Marcus, obviously there's a high level of confidence in him if Jaden Daniels can't go. What was he able to give you, and did you learn anything about him, even though you knew a lot about him already?
I don't know if I learned anything because of what I've seen, over the year and a half. I was one of the least surprised people that he would play well in the stadium because what I've seen out here and the work. I did know, the work that he puts in to get himself ready. So I've seen all of that, Chick. So I don't know if I learned anything different other than confirming this is a real competitor and this style and the attitude and the way that he plays just suits him, so well in this system.
You talked about Jeremy. Obviously, with Will out, he's probably in line for more playing time. What has most impressed you about him, I guess, on the defensive side of the ball? We know what he does on special teams, but on defense?
What I noticed jumped from 2024 to 2025, man, the speed elevated even again. Is that a year after being injured? Could be. but I felt like the speed and the tackling even ramped up more. I saw it in the preseason games. I saw it at practice too. And so we'd already seen some of that begin, but I felt the speed and the tackling, that position, he's usually right in the middle of all of it, but I did feel that level up in 2025 from spring, training camp, and into this early part of the season.
I know you won't know about Terry's status and probably Noah Brown as well until the end of the week, but if they can't go, what kind of opportunity would that be for guys like Jalen and Luke to get some more playing time?
Yeah, that's where you usually lead to when you don't know where that's going to be. What I do know is that we have a big, deep crew, at a lot of spots, and we train the players that don't count on this as a possibility, but more as a certainty of knowing that at some point, when that space comes where you're called upon, that you're able to deliver. It's one of the best feelings that you can provide to your teammates to do that. So what does that look like during the week at all the positions, showing you're ready, showing that you're able to, so when that opportunity comes, you're just ready to do it. Might be at one position one time and then another one, hey, now it's at this one. And so you just push this 70-man roster all the way forward, all the way in. And if you can demonstrate you're ready, then when your opportunity comes, you have a lot of confidence because you've put the work in.
With an opponent making changes on the offensive side in terms of play calling and things like that, what sort of a challenge does that present for you? Maybe not knowing what to expect, or you can't worry about or guess at what might change?
Yeah, I can't worry about that. I think those things take place, and you speaks to his team's urgency, where they're at, what they're trying to hit on, what might be the emphasis for them. Sometimes it's with the player, to make sure he gets more touches, he does, more factor into it. So you have to let it play out. Those are out of our control. You're aware of those, but as far as trying to lean in too much to it, we generally don't do that.
With the kicking game, what, if any, is your level of concern about inconsistency there, and have you or will you bring in anyone to compete for that spot?
Yeah, we have a lot of confidence in Matt to go. I was pleased to see, the one at the end of the half. So as we're going through it, we're still digging in to find our spaces to go. But no, we have full belief in Matt.
Hey, Dan, Sunday's going to be a special game for you, too, because obviously you coached in Atlanta. You have a lot of friends there, and I'm sure a lot of memories there. What is that going to be like for you going in there as a head coach of the Commanders, where you used to coach in Atlanta?
Well, it's not like a return to one go. We've played them, last year and, done it other times before. But I always have, huge gratitude for Arthur Blank and his family and, giving me the opportunity to do that. But past that, it's for the guys and in between the white lines. So we'll be ready to battle, too.
Coach, next man up seems like a cliche term used during sports, but with this team, with this organization, you all seem to thrive in these situations. What is it about this team that allows for them to excel in those moments?
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think that is too much of a cliche because there's another player behind that, the injury or what happened to take place. But what I do know and what we do train hard as, there's going to be a spot, and when you're ready, you've got to go nail it. And if you're waiting for that moment to happen and then all of a sudden it hits you, you're not going to be as prepared as you could have been. And so the way that we go about it is everybody gets reps at practice to make sure they're pushing it to see where we go. We're evaluating, pushing the skills. So if we can continue to get better, when that moment comes and the opportunity is called upon, man, you're ready to deliver. So the competition helps that. We do some at each practice, just non-carded, non-scripted, offense versus defense, going to play, and that keeps a player sharp. They know they got to react, they got to make the plays and make the calls. But having all 70 in our mindset, that's a big part of who we are and how we do it, knowing there's going to be adversity. I think early on in my career, you want this to happen, then this to happen, this to happen, then you learn later, man, sometimes that plan isn't there. This is how you have to go win the game, and that could be due to injury, them playing a different way. And so if you think in those ways, man, be able to adjust, and when that time comes, you go let it rip, and you have to have confidence in the people to do that, and we do.
Running tight on time, we'll take 3 more.
Good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
Jalen and the punt return unit as a whole has been pretty strong for you guys this year. For the Falcons, their punter and their punt coverage team has also been pretty strong for them. How do you go about making sure that your strength can be stronger than theirs, and how big of a boost can that give you this weekend if you can make that happen?
Yeah, the field position, man, that's the thing. Can you find ways to get a long return, find ways that's, could be a first down, could be 2 first downs in terms of the field position. So finding your spaces, when they're trying to flip the field and somebody, not just Atlanta, but anybody kicks it deep, that's when you have a chance, because usually the long returns don't come, when you're, on a plus 50 punt. Those are the ones that you have your chance and you got to go. And then the outside guys are key for us, man. The gunners, and they've got to feel the speed and go after it. So it's definitely a good matchup this weekend on both sides, man. And like absolute, you'll feel speed and energy and toughness on both sides.
With Sam Cosmi, how is his rehab going? And with the ability to open his window come Monday, do you expect to open it then? Do you have a return to play plan in place for him there?
Yeah, we're working hard, and he has really put in the work. And so that's where we're aiming towards. And then as we get into next week, we'll see if he's ready to take that next step. But this is another guy, man, has just all off season through the summer to put the work in. And so what are the last little bits of that? You try to simulate as much as you can, simulated sets, but he does need to be back in the team setting. So as soon as that can happen, that helps him in a normal ramp-up process too.
Dan, with Dorrance Armstrong, when you guys brought him in, obviously you and Joe knew him well, figured that his acclimation period would be maybe one of the faster ones, but it really wasn't until maybe the playoffs that his statistics at least really started to take off, and that's continued. Did something change for him, click? Was there something just over time that he developed, found more confidence in, whatever it was?
Yeah, and we'll have to look, Ben. That's a good question. Like, I felt there was significant pressure from DA, but maybe not the numbers from the sack standpoint. That might be something that we can look into. But now, different sides for him. He's always been somebody that could be equipped to go over the guards, over the tackles, move into different locations. So we didn't do that as much with him last year. Dante mostly played one side. He mostly played the other. So now we're probably a little more fluid of how we feature the guys. But I think converting from a pressure into a sack, obviously that's a big deal. And I don't know, but I felt like the pressures were higher, even though maybe the sack numbers weren't as high. So that might be one thing that he's able to finish more so far.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.